Here's more wrestling news for December 16th, 2021. And your headlines for this afternoon include Karrion Kross joins EC3's Control Your Narrative stable, Charlotte Flair on Zelina calling herself a queen in WWE, it's silly, lazy and incompetent, WWE Legends criticizes Big E Bobby Lashley, WWE Legend's son breaks CM Punk's 4-month-long record, former WWE superstar reveals that he rejected Vince McMahon's Hall of Fame offer, Jim Cornette supports petition to change lyrics of CM Punk's entrance music, Mick Foley highlights released WWE stars' potential, Axe Body Spray drops clever reference after John Cena follows them on Twitter, WWE wouldn't allow Hart Family Dungeon mention on television, Tony Khan explains how he gives more freedom in AEW compared to other companies, and more. We are starting off with Braun Strowman, who after aligning himself with EC3 at Ring of Honor's Final Battle, teased adding Karrion Kross to their team. On social media, Strowman shared a photo of the trio saying, "Time will tell," and fans haven't had to wait long to find out the answer. Now, Kross has also shared the graphic and said that he is choosing to control his narrative, a line often used by EC3 ever since his own release from WWE. Kross was released from the company last month, which came as a shock to fans given that he was finally being pushed on Raw, and we'll have to see just what he, Strowman, and EC3 do together now that they're all on the same side. At Crown Jewel 2021, Zelina Vega made history by being crowned the first ever official Queen of WWE, but she's hardly the first woman to claim that moniker. For years, Charlotte Flair has been called the Queen, mostly by herself, and now there's two women claiming the throne in WWE. While a storyline pitting the Queen of SmackDown against Queen Zelina makes sense on paper, Flair sees no reason for it to happen, as she told Alistair McGeorge of Metro UK, "I don't think I need to fight over a crown. Sorry. I don't think I need a crown to be called the Queen. I am the Queen. It's silly to me. No offense." Flair did admit that she's interested in wrestling the current WWE Women's Tag Team Champion, but feels that a match focused on Queen vs. Queen is unnecessary. As for now, Flair will continue her feud with Toni Storm, who she's expected to defend her SmackDown Women's title against at Day 1, and perhaps the two queens of WWE will cross paths in 2022. On this week's Raw, Bobby Lashley earned a spot in the WWE Championship match at Day 1 after defeating Kevin Owens, Seth Rollins, and WWE Champion Big E on the same night. Lashley's win over Big E came thanks to an attack by MVP, who attacked the champ during the no disqualification match before Lashley got the spear and the win over the man who ended his title reign. On Busted Open Radio, Bully Ray made it clear he wasn't a fan of this finish, branding it lazy and incompetent, because MVP attacked Big E in front of the referee. Bully did admit that this was allowed due to the no disqualification stipulation, but said that the referee shouldn't have seen the attack, as it would have made MVP and Lashley seem more dastardly. Rather than cheating to win, the heels simply followed the rules of the match to get a win over the reigning WWE champion, something that the WWE Hall of Famer didn't enjoy seeing on Raw. Since debuting in AEW, CM Punk has enjoyed an undefeated streak in the ring, but now one of his impressive records has been broken by an unlikely opponent. On a recent episode of AEW Rampage, Hook, the son of Taz, made his in-ring debut in a highly impressive outing against Fuego del Sol, earning the respect of fans. Now, Hook's shirt is the #1 seller on Pro Wrestling Tees, knocking Punk down to second place. This is the first time since August 20th that Punk's shirt isn't the top seller on PWTs, and it just goes to show how much of an impact the second-generation wrestler has made in such a short amount of time. Each year before WrestleMania, the WWE honors legends of the industry with the annual Hall of Fame, celebrating those who have come before. In 2019, the NWO was inducted, represented by Kevin Nash, Scott Hall, Hulk Hogan, and Eric Bischoff, but they were only 4 members of what grew to be a massive group. During a recent podcast appearance, Buff Bagwell claimed that he was offered the chance to be inducted but said no, and explained why, saying, "They actually called me to do the Hall of Fame thing. I was like, I'll be honest with you, I said I don't want to be a part of a group going into the Hall of Fame. It'd be like Brett Favre getting an NFL Hall of Fame ring because of the Green Bay Packers. It wasn't me that got in with the NWO, that wasn't me that was getting into the Hall of Fame. It wasn't the same. I said, hey guys, don't take this wrong, please. I'd rather it be for something that I did, not something that the group did. Even though that's cool, it really isn't cool." Bagwell was with the New World Order from 1996 to 1999, and after WCW collapsed, he had just one match in the WWF in 2001 before being released. There's no way of knowing if Bagwell is telling the truth, but he's sticking to the story that he said no when given the opportunity to be a Hall of Famer. More from AEW as CM Punk brought Living Colour's Cult of Personality to the company upon his arrival, after using the song in both WWE and Ring of Honor. Jim Cornette is no stranger to poking fun at AEW, and neither are his fans, as one Cult of Cornette member has started a petition hoping for the lyrics to be changed. The petition reads, "AEW is a wrestling company that appears on Turner television stations with coverage in many other countries. Currently, one of their performers uses the song Cult of Personality. In response, James Mark Cornette, aka Jim Cornette, and his fanbase have created Cult of Meat with Extra Cheese as a parody song available on YouTube." Once the petition was sent to Cornette himself, he responded via tweet saying, "A petition has been created to change CM Punk's theme to Cult of Meat with Extra Cheese at least once. Now, I don't know if it'll work, but it would be hilarious if it got a lot of signatures, wouldn't it?" Right now, over 400 people have signed the petition, and while we very much doubt that AEW will ever agree to the petition, no matter how many names sign it, it's good to see Cornette having some fun without having to verbally berate the company or its wrestlers for a change. At the 2018 Royal Rumble, Ronda Rousey debuted for WWE after establishing herself as the biggest female name in MMA. Rousey isn't the only MMA star to join WWE, as Sonya Deville fought in the Octagon before signing, though never competed against the former Raw Women's Champion. Speaking to TalkSport this week, Deville discussed rumors that she and Rousey had heat based on a comment where the Hot Rod called Deville's MMA career a hobby. She said, "It's all good. We worked together a bit on Total Divas. It was fine. I'd like to fight her if she comes back around. Make her regret calling me an MMA hobbyist. Which is ironic, because me transitioning from MMA to wrestling, and she did, wouldn't that make her a hobbyist?" Rousey hasn't been seen in the ring since her one and only WWE loss during the main event of WrestleMania 35, but if she ever does make a return, Sonya Deville is ready for her. As a 16-time WWE World Champion, John Cena has a huge fan following, and his presence across social media is strong. Most recently, Cena has been using Twitter to promote his upcoming Peacemaker series, which is set to release in January, but Big Match John took some time to follow the official Axe Body Spray account. Now, that account has reacted in a hilarious way, as they tweeted that they got a brand new follower, but didn't see anyone. Playing off Cena's "You Can't See Me" catchphrase, current NXT North American Champion Carmelo Hayes also got in on the joke, as when Cena followed his account, the champ made it clear that he can see the Suicide Squad star. Interestingly enough, Hayes debuted in WWE much like Cena, screaming ruthless aggression before slapping the face of an established name, in his case Adam Cole, and he's certainly caught the attention of one of wrestling's biggest ever superstars. In the history of Canadian wrestling, no family is more respected than the Harts, who trained countless others in the infamous Hart family dungeon. Stu Hart, the father of Bret, ran a grueling operation from the dungeon, which trained countless names in the industry, including Victor of the Ascension. Speaking on the two-man power trip to discuss his WWE tenure, Victor spoke about his education under the Harts and why it wasn't referenced much, if at all, on TV. "When I got to WWE, they told me I wasn't really allowed to say it. I'm not too sure if it had to do with the Benoit stigma or whatever it was, but we always used to pitch it. Like, this is one of my things, because that's a thing in wrestling." Everybody else that came from the dungeon, it was a given that if you hear somebody is from Calgary and you're like, "That guy can work, that guy's going to be a good wrestler." When I got to FCW, they were like, "Nope, we're not letting you say that anymore." I think even William Regal said it one time on NXT, and they told him to quit saying it. I never got a definitive answer as to why. They just told me to drop it, and I said fine. It's no secret that WWE had bad blood with the Harts for many years, and we're sure that the actions of Chris Benoit, one of the most successful Hart Dungeon graduates, only soured WWE's relationship with the famed training area. Victor trained in the dungeon under Ross and Bruce Hart in the late 90s and early 2000s and had a mixed career in WWE. But despite being a jobber for much of his main roster run, Victor has some serious training under his belt. And we're ending with Tony Khan, who, as president of AEW, allows a lot more creative freedom than WWE. While superstars have to recite promos word for word, that isn't the case in AEW, where things are much more on the fly. On the Wrestling Perspective podcast, Khan explained how AEW gives their roster more freedom and said that as long as a wrestler gets the key points, naming their opponent, the venue of the match, and the date it'll happen, he's fine not handing scripts to his roster. Calling the AEW promos very authentic and very real, AEW will continue to present their product in such a way that sets them apart from their competition and will continue to earn the support of fans who are tired of WWE's word-for-word delivery. Well guys, that's our news for today. Please share your comments below. Also hit the like button, subscribe to our channel, and hit the bell icon to receive all notifications. And as always, thanks for watching.